Hello and welcome to a Warframe video. In this video I wanted to talk about a nice little fun build that I discovered basically when I was playing around, both with friends as well as, well, just came into my head. And it actually worked a lot better than I thought. Now this build includes the Ignis, or the Ignis Wraith if you have the upgrade version, and is built all for status. I have 182% status, and I am built for viral and radiation. And this build is specifically designed to fight infested, because we were basically doing a Orokin derelict defense to get those mutagen samples, and yeah, some enemies buff each other. We have ancient healers who heal enemies. We have disruptors who disrupt your powers. We have the toxics, which will make their allies immune to toxic and also, well, do a lot of damage. We have the MOAs who will also give their allies armor, and others will leave a pool of acid on the ground, which is very dangerous on high levels. So, and also they all stun basically. They also hit the ground hard and stun, so that can be an annoyance. So we were basically playing around, and we decided, hey, I thought, okay, how about I just use radiation to basically proc enemies, because radiation confuses enemies and forces them to fight each other. They'll basically attack anyone that's around them, and yeah, I decided to do a nice little status only build, no damages, no point in actually dealing damage, um, only for dealing status, and so that I could finish them off with a melee, with a slash melee. That way, I have more body parts to be able to work with if I were for a Necros to desecrate, and for more mutagen samples. And for the most part, that actually worked pretty nicely. And yeah, enemies were confused. Literally, they were confused. Obviously, the only issue was essentially ammo, but obviously my carrier died in this video. But yeah, if your carrier is alive and well, then he will, it won't matter. The enemies in the derelict defense, or in general in the derelict, are low. They start off a lot lower than the ones that I have simulated just for experimenting around. So they actually die a lot easier. They actually can die from the Ignis, even at this level, and it's actually kind of fun. And the ones that don't die, I finish off with my Orthos. So with a good build of a maiming strike build Orthos Prime. So yeah, it just wrecks them all. Um, and the thing is about the confusion is that it literally works by making all the enemies fight each other, and the infested in general will also stop buffing each other when they are conflicted with confusion. Viral, of course, also reduces the enemy's max health by 50%, so they have also half health on top of that. And literally, me and one person, we were just two people doing a derelict defense, and we were just blazing past the waves without a care, with just an Atlas and a Necros. So we were more most of the time we were just having fun. We were just looking around, looking down at the enemies, just being annihilated, while we were just there in the background. And whenever they went too close to the defense, or I needed to like clear them out to get those mutagen samples, then I just used my orthos and just wrecked them immediately. And yeah, that actually worked pretty nicely. And yeah, I wanted to share this little build. It's not really that powerful. Definitely not for if this is the kind of build you will use on enemies who buff each other, like probably against the infested, and then just finish them off with a good melee. Um, Obviously, I guess a good frame that can either tank or, I don't know, spread the ability, the I don't know, anything basically on top of that will do just fine. Here I was actually trying to use the radiation proc on a Juggernaut and his allies, and just have them fight each other. I was curious to see what a Juggernaut would do. Um, and it didn't disappoint. He actually was attacking his enemies, even though for whatever reason he decided to despawn at some point, which kind of, it was sad. I was noticing that he was spawning enemies that were significantly higher level than the one that I actually added. The Juggernaut was level 50, but he was spawning enemies who were 125 plus, up to 300 plus. So that was kind of weird. Don't idea how that scales. I don't know if that's a glitch or anything, but it's kind of weird. Um, anyway, of course. Now this is something that you can do if you were, say, using a Nyx. Obviously, just using absorb and using say set chaos, her power, her third power, chaos, to basically make everyone fight each other while mind controlling that one enemy, maybe even the Juggernaut, to basically do your bidding. And however, the thing about Nyx is that she cannot really, well, she cannot really farm those enemies. And at the current time, we wanted to basically use an Atlas and a Necros, Necros with his with Dispel on his Desecrate, for not using any energy when he is using his Desecrate, to basically desecrate the enemies, and a Atlas with an Orgaze on to basically stone all the enemies, and while I kill them, stone enemies with Atlas's Orgaze, enemies who become stoned have a 50% chance of dropping more. Uh, well, they have a 50% of chance of dropping rare resources. So with Atlas using his Orgaze, Necros using his Desecrate, after killing the statues and desecrating their corpses. Their shattered parts also act as multiple parts for me to, desecrate. And yeah, that was the whole point, to basically get some mutagen samples. And however, we found out that when enemies buff each other, it can be a big pain. However, with this little lovely Ignis, we were using the idea of using a train for the healings, a Hydrate with Pilfering Swarm dealing most of the damage, um, Atlas with his Orgaze basically stone gazing all the enemies who haven't died on the first impact of Hydroid's tentacles, and Necros desecrating the enemies while confusing them with the Ignis Wraith for that so the enemies don't buff themselves and they also turn on each other. And that was the whole plan, and I think it actually works pretty nicely. So yeah, let me know what you think about the build. Try it out yourselves. Thanks for watching. Stay cool, and I'll see you later. Bye.